Hey guys, welcome to a brand new series that we are going to be doing following along with a player that is 2 months into the game that is going to be seeking coaching for the first time. He is a very new player, but he is very good considering he is brand new to the game. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pointing out some mistakes, not all of them, but just a couple that we're going to talk about. We're going to get his reactions, what he was thinking, and we're going to be going over the gameplay as well. So if you guys like this video and you guys are looking for something like this, feel free to check out my coaching link down below. I would love to help you out just like I'm helping out this man right here. And while we're on it, he is starting his first he's starting a YouTube channel. He is making his first video on green purple Doflamingo, and the deck is actually really good. So be sure to check out the link below for that and enjoy the video.
Heart Pirates TCG.
What is up, everybody? It's Tony, otherwise known as Chaotic Pirates TCG, and today is just another day talking about like how much the coaching has really shaped the way that I started playing. Ever since I got a chance to work with him, talk with him, even within that first hour, and like this is day before our next session, I have literally been on a roll that I had my whole perspective changing on knowing when to play certain things, and it's okay not to get the full value now so you can maximize everything on the next turn. For example, the other day I played locals and this is like the first time in a while since I made it to like the final round. Again, it's only been like 2 months of me playing this game, and I got Blackbeard, I beat Usopp, I beat Yellow Kid, I beat I believe it was Shanks, and then I think the fourth deck that I went up against right before that, if I'm not mistaken, was what was it? Anyway, it was another deck, and then I lost in the final round to Dofi. And in all those games, it felt like I had complete control because I knew when to pressure certain things and I knew when to hold things back. For one of my games, like when I was playing against Shanks, like I had 3 Burgesses out and it was during a turn where I could have dropped a 10 cost teach, but because of how healthy my life was and how I wasn't feeling pressure, I knew the best thing was just to keep adding pressure and to, double Burgess and then swing. I want to see where the rest of this training and everything's going to go. Obviously, right now I've been playing with a rogue deck. You guys will see the video next week in regards to me talking about my current favorite rogue deck right now. Here, let me move y'all for a second. It's actually Grape Doflamingo, and my current record with it is 8-3 on the simulator. I believe it's like a 72% win rate. And all the games that I played have felt super close. Like, I'm taking a rogue deck, I'm playing against these meta decks, and ever since me and him have discussed it and just had a different view of like building decks and just how to play, it's really like elevated my skill no matter the deck, and how much, how big of a difference is when you develop as a better pilot. So I think we're transitioning to a new way, and I think when I get to see more and more matchups, when I understand the game and I can remember and understand certain cards and what to look out for, that will be successful. But again, it's just been really great, so we're just going to keep on chugging along and then see where this 2-month player becomes a serial winner. All right, take care. Peace out, Tribe Scout.
Now, when I first started coaching Tony, he was playing Blackbeard basically just wrong or out of sequence. He was basically playing the 10 cost teach before playing Burgess, and he was using all of his removal as well before that. So basically his game plan was play removal, play something if he has, play more removal if he has it, and then play 10 cost teach over and over again and try to go for a game with those teaches. But the issue with that particular strategy is you don't really want to attack with the teaches unless you're guaranteed lethal, basically, with those teaches. So what I basically told him to do was, instead of using your removal right out the bat, why not just play characters like Burgess and Kuzan and things like that, and then use your removal and hammer down the game, bring the game to a close with the teaches after that is all over with. And I'm proud to say that he has fixed that for the most part. And the issues he has now is he is not valuing resources correctly, and he's pitching the wrong cards. Basically what he's doing is he's playing Blackbeard like it's not a gadget deck. And while Blackbeard Blackbeard is a gadget deck, right? So Blackbeard wants to have answers for most situations, if not every situation. So because he's pitching the wrong cards, or he's not searching for the wrong cards, he's not able to deal with situations coming up. And in the videos today, in the clips today, we're going to show you guys exactly what I mean by that. All right, guys, so let's look at this example right here. So we see that he has 2 Finger Pistols and 1 Liberation, which are fantastic removal options. And the best part about, drawing into Finger Pistol is it's one of the few cards in your deck that is not searchable. And so you normally want to hold on to it for a situation that could come up in the future. Blackbeard is very much a Swiss Army knife type of deck, so you always want to have as much... you always want to have as many opportunities to play a bunch of different gadgets as possible, right? So you want to make sure that you have a tool for every single different type of job that you might need, right? So if you need a hammer in one job, you might need a screwdriver in another job, you might need an Allen wrench in another job, and you want to basically keep these pieces just in case they do come up, because Blackbeard is a deck that requires you to know what your opponent's going to do and know what your opponent's deck does, and that way you can answer it efficiently. Now this deck right here, this Yellow Kid deck in particular, does play 5 costs, as you can see. It has one on the board right now. It plays the 5/7 Rouge on occasion. There's a few different 5 costs or less that it does play, and for the rest of the game, you are looking at just playing, maybe 1 or 2 of these Kuzans. You normally don't have the time to play 3 Kuzans, so personally, I would much rather pitch one of these Kuzans here, because the Kuzan is much less likely to come up, at least that third one, than this Finger Pistol right here. And of course, in the future, if Finger Pistol is not necessarily needed, then you can always pitch it later. But the way this game is going right here, what I see is 3 life at, from the Blackbeard player. I see a deck that is notorious for trashing life, so you don't normally have a lot of time to be able to develop all 3 of these Kuzans. Normally it's just 2, and then you slam down a bunch of Blackbeards and then win the game. So that is what I see right there.
All right, so in this moment, I was thinking on a few things. Me having the 3 Kuzan in his hand from our last session, I was believing that I need to keep it. It's vital. And I figured going against Yellow Kid, I am not going to need Finger Pistol later down this matchup, because the only thing I really care about getting rid of is the base of Hawkins, which I'll Black Hole. And I see myself just winning with Burgess and Teach. I don't really see myself as needing Finger Pistol throughout this game.
So this right here, guys, I always want to point out when my people do something that's really smart. I'm going to let this play out while we're talking, but what happens, he ends up attacking 7k into this Burgess right here, and he gives him a 2k right here, and he sees that he has 7 cards in trash. So instead of giving him this very valuable 2k, his last 2k, he realizes that because he has 7 cards in trash, and Burgess's effect actually activates when he, no matter what, as soon as the conditions are met, he only needs to give him a 1k counter here to be the right, to give him the right counter. So technically his 1k counter is actually a 2k counter. And not only that, but he does give him the Van Augur, which is actually the right card to pitch in this situation, because blockers are more valuable, especially since he doesn't have dot Q, especially since he doesn't need dot Q. So he actually not only pitched the right card, which I'm very happy about, but he also recognized that his Burgess is going to be a extra 1k power if he pitches the right cards, and he valued his resources very well. So this is a very encouraging sign. I love seeing this, especially with someone so new to the game. We actually did talk about this situation last coaching session that I unfortunately wasn't able to record because of some some technical difficulties, but I'm very happy he was actually to clean this up, because this is a really good play.
I was super happy when I looked back at my trash and realized that it only took me 1 card, 2, but 1 card to pitch when he swung the second time to protect my Burgess. Oh man, I was feeling pumped. I was feeling real pumped.
Now, right here, guys, I'm going to let this play out as well in just a second. But what I want to highlight here is that you always want to start your turn with gathering as much information as possible, and you always want to swing at least 2,000 power over the threshold of the character that you are attacking into, because it forces a response from your opponent, right? It forces a major response to what I'm going to say. So, of course, just attacking for 5k right here is going to warrant a response from your opponent, whether it be a 1k or whatever it is, but it doesn't really give you a lot of information. It doesn't tell you how much this character is valued to your opponent. So I always start out with a 7k at least base attack into a 5k at the start of my turns to kind of gauge what I'm going to do with the rest of my Dawn right here, what the rest of my turn is. So what's going to happen here is he's going to do the opposite. He's just going to attack for 5k right here, and he's just going to warrant a 1k response. But however, this guy blocks, so it actually worked out for him. But in a normal situation against a player a little bit more experienced, I don't think this would have worked out. He ends up blocking a 5k, and now he's able to get a clean attack into a Satori 7k into 5k, and it dies. So the thing about this situation, guys, is if you attack 7k into a 5k, if you reverse the order of these attacks, what's going to happen is it's going to force a response from your opponent, and you could actually use more Dawn to attack with your leader instead, now that you know what is going on. So for example, if you attack for 7k into a 5 and he blocks, you're like, okay, how about I do this? How about I attack for 7k into the 5 again, see what you do. Maybe you're going to give me 2 cards, maybe you let it go. Either way, that's usually the better play. And then now I have the rest of my Dawn, which is 6 Dawn at my disposal, to play Burgess and Vasco Shot. Or I can just attack for 8k and play Kuzan. Kuzan's going to be able to play the Burgess, draw a card. There's plenty of other options you can do, but once you exhaust all of your attacks, you no longer have the ability to add extra Dawn to your attack. So, now all of your Dawn must be committed to playing characters rather than, possibly giving yourself the opportunity to punish them for blocking an attack that could die, that's going to die automatically.
Honestly, I don't know what the heck I was thinking in this sequence. Well, I kind of do. I figured that I always want to swing with the smallest character first before the biggest, but right now, like, thinking about it, need to get the information that I need to see how valuable that character is. But my thought process was a little skewed on this, but hopefully next time it plays out better. Luckily, it was still in my favor. I got rid of the character, but don't want to make that mistake again.
All right, guys, we're going to let this game play out as well, but what I want to add before we show this clip is this limb right here, and I'm sorry for the quality, guys. Like I said, we're gonna fix that on the next go-around. I think he had some issues with this recording software, but this limb right here is able to rest herself to save herself. So he had the idea of playing .Q to rest the limb and then attack into the limb, but realistically, let's read the board state a little bit more. This opponent has 3 cards in hand, is 3 life, so realistically, if you just attack an 8k into this Weevil right here, or I'm sorry, this Newgate right here, you have a really good chance of actually getting it off the board. Whereas because they have so little cards in hand, restanding one character per turn doesn't necessarily matter. And even if it does matter, in the following turns, you can do the same play you did with .Q in a turn on a turn where there is less threatening pressure on the board. So what happens here is if you attack 8k into this Newgate right here, and then you end up, playing Kuzan, and then I'm sorry, killing the Newgate, playing Kuzan, playing a Burgess, what happens is this Sakazuki is going to easily be contested by the Burgess next turn, unless of course that he restands it with the limb. But even if he does restand it, he's going into his 10 Dawn turn on the following turn, and what can happen is the Burgess can attack into leader, as well as his leader can attack into leader, and he can just stun the Sakazuki with the Teach in hand. So whether it dies by battle or just ends up getting stunned, it doesn't really matter either way. The most important thing in this situation, when you're playing against a deck like Lim, for example, which is a very big aggro deck, is you want to make sure that these cards that you are able to attack into for a pretty good number, which is, like I said, 2k over the threshold, you want to make sure you get rid of them as soon as possible, or completely starve them out of resources and slow the game down as much as you can when you're playing a deck that is much slower. Because if you can get to the end of the game, which is where your deck starts thriving, you're obviously going to turn the advantage in your favor. So the right play, to break, long story short, is 1, 2, 3 Dawn on Blackbeard, attack into the Newgate for 8k into a 6k. It's going to most likely die, and then you are going to play Kuzan. Kuzan's going to draw a card, play the Burgess, and also, somewhere in this turn, you also have to use the stage to search as well. So you can even dump the Burgess if you don't have one in there, and then you can search and do that. But what ends up happening is he ends up just playing the .Q right here, and then Lim's going to end up resting itself. He's going to attack into the Lim right here. He's going to play the stage, which I also think is a mistake, because you always want to gather as much information at the start of your turn as possible for as little Dawn as possible. And what's going to happen here is he's going to play Kuzan. Kuzan's going to draw him a card, play Burgess. He's going to not even play the Lafitte, I don't believe, and just pass his turn. So basically what happened is, instead of doing the exact same thing I told him about, where he attacks into the Newgate and plays the Burgess, he lets him keep the Newgate on the board, lets him keep potentially 2 cards in his hand, just to kill a 0-cost character that doesn't actually matter. And he also wastes 1 Dawn as well. So a massive, massive, massive waste. Now this guy could have really punished him right here by attacking all into leader. However, they fell for the bait and allowed the .Q to he killed the .Q and it ended up saving him. But against a really experienced Lim player, that probably would not have ever happened. This card would have never been attacked. This is all lethal from this point on.
I'm gonna kick myself in the head for this play. I knew what to do, literally looking at the film afterwards and seeing, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I need to do. But in this moment, I'm just so close-minded to just kill that little freaking 1-cost character, putting that stupid .Q, which doesn't even matter anymore. I just wasted a card to get rid of something that was kind of irrelevant with him being at 3 cards. But
sometimes, guys, you can make one tiny mistake in the beginning of the game, and then the game is officially over. What happens here is he plays My Era Begins, and he ends up not searching for this black hole right here, which could notoriously kill the 3-cost Sanji as well as the Tashigi. And what ends up happening is, because he doesn't have the ability to kill a Tashigi on curve other than with just the finger pistol, any 5-cost character that he plays is going to be allowed to live, because he wastes the finger pistol on the character coming up. So what happens here is he searches the 10-cost Teach, and then he attacks for 5, he takes it, which is fantastic, and then he plays a Tashigi. Now he sequences correctly here, attacks 5, doesn't tell his opponent what it's going to do, and then he plays the finger pistol. Now finger pistol kills the Tashigi, and now when this Luffy comes out on the board, he has no way of actually dealing with that Luffy, and it's going to apply a lot of pressure and basically win him the game. We're going to fast forward it a little bit, and you guys are going to see the Hody Jones comes out, and the game is just pretty much over. Just playing on the back foot the whole time. So, guys, when you're searching for these cards, when you're searching for these, especially the beginning of the game, you have to figure out what cards are likely to come up in situations, and you need to save cards for those situations. Now, if those situations don't come up, for example, you search a card and they don't play the character that the card is for, then of course you can pivot to something else. But you want to have the option, the gadgets, the tools to be able to deal with these situations, especially if you have the power to do so. And him wasting his only form of removal on a character that's not super important does allow him now to play this Luffy completely uncontested, because he already used his removal on the least important card. Whereas this turn could have been play stage, pop the Luffy right here, stabilize a little bit, do whatever, with your Dawn, attack into leader, whatever it is, and then call it a day, set up Kuzan and Burgess and things like that, and then slam down Teaches. But he even almost was able to stabilize. If this Luffy wasn't on the board, he would have been at 1 extra life for sure, maybe even 2 extra life, and then he would have been on his turn where he could have realistically played Kuzan, played a blocker. He does search for what is it called? Another Burgess or my age. So realistically, that Kuzan could turn into a blocker, like a Vasco shot, and then the Vasco shot can take a Hody Jones hit, and then he stabilizes at 1 life, maybe even 0 life, but multiple Teaches on the board. So that could have been the case, but obviously because that one character, or that one search caused him to keep this Luffy on the board, it messed up the entire game and caused him to end up losing.
Yeah, and I kind of didn't search for the card that I needed to get rid of that. I kind of threw there. I pitched the one card that can kill that little Luffy.